You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Because Bill Wilhelm is our guest. He is the president of R.D. Olson Construction. Bill, welcome to the program.
Rick, thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to participate with you.
Yeah, let's get in. I'm excited to have you as a guest, and let's get into it. So take us back in time, and I mean that literally. What was your original motivation, or maybe the inspiration, to join R.D. Olson? And this was over 30 years ago.
Yes, sir. Good 30 years ago. I'm looking forward to my 35th, which is right around the corner. So 30 years ago, boy, I didn't even know who Bob Olson was at that point in time. But I was working on extended education back in the day at UCI. And one of my professors, who was a vice president for another GC that I worked for some years before, said, "Hey, you got to come meet this guy named Bob Olson. You are going to fall in love with him the moment you meet him." And I was curious, fall in love with the guy the moment I meet him. Let's give it a shot. And so I walked into Mr. Olson's office over in Anaheim 30 plus years ago and had a short meeting with the president at that point. And within a few minutes, he said, "You got to meet Bob Olson. Bob's got 3 minutes to get together and talk before he jumps on a plane and continues his travels across the country on business." And so Bob and I sat down, and literally 3 minutes, he was in and out. We clicked right then and there. And really if I look back and ask myself, what did I click with when Bob Olson walked in the room? It was his humbleness. It was his sincerity. It was his entrepreneurship flavor, thinking as an entrepreneur. And over my 30 years, I've come to have a greater appreciation what really an entrepreneur is in the R.D. Olson world. And we kind of put a spin on it. We call it our hospitality experience. And it's just doing all the right things. And so 30 years ago, I fell in love with the culture, the concept, the vision, and I've been blessed for 30 years. Bob asked me to take the company over 11, 12 years ago, give or take. Time has gone by so fast. Mm-hmm. And it's been an honor to take what he started 45 years ago and just continue that legacy forward.
You're fortunate to have found such a appropriate fit for you and for your career. Many have searched for that, Bill, to be able to be in the place where they could have such a long and storied tenure. Let's talk about, as you rose through the different positions and now as the president, what have you learned, having been there for 20 years or so before you become president, then now you're the president? That's a little different lens from which to look at R.D. Olson, I'm sure. Can you share kind of the impact it's had on you?
Yeah, those 20 years, which were the stepping stones to take the keys to the car, so to speak. It taught me a lot about the culture, taught me a lot about our business partners. It helped me truly understand our people, our associates, and it helped me understand more so those that we participate and build for. And so as I took the reins and I took over the position that I currently am enjoying, it has allowed me to push the envelope and really focus on not so much the day-to-day, but really the bigger picture for us, which is succession programming, legacy building, and continued partnerships with our customer base. I am very proud to say that as a result of our associates, those that work really hard for the RDO brand, our repeat business is about 77% of our annual volume, which is typically unheard of for a builder general contractor. And that is a result of this culture that I've been blessed to kind of really push the envelope with, take it to the next level, see where we can improve it, but always drawing back to that 45 years. Why did Bob start the company? What was the mission back there? But Bob will tell you, Bill, you know what? Keep the mission in your mind, but don't let the times, pigeonhole you. Allow the times, allow today's environment to allow you to be open-minded. Think outside the box. Take that vision to new tiers, to new levels. But always draw back to where it all started. Always draw back to that humbleness and that level of exceeding the expectations for your partners. And so, for the last in my role, making sure that everyone has a place in our company, making sure that our succession programs are continuing to be challenged, focused on this legacy program that we are vitally working on. That's what really I think I have had the largest contribution to, because prior to that we were entrepreneurs. We were focused on business. We were focused on how do you get from point A to point B? And Bob said, Bill, we need more than that. We need to be thinking bigger pitch. We need to be thinking long term. And so that piece of my responsibility, that piece of my role has been the most exciting. I am blessed because I do touch every part of the business. I mean, I've got my hands in all facets, but I'm also blessed. I have probably the best executives in the industry that I work with hand in hand at all levels, from field to operation to support to risk mitigation to legal, you name it. I've got the best that are out there.
So I'm curious about learning more about R.D. Olson and what you do. But before we get there, as you were answering that question and hearing what you're focused on, I wanted to ask, you have a great long tenure with the company. Are you an anomaly there, Bill, or are there other employees who've enjoyed a long career with R.D. Olson Construction as well?
Well, I'm looking for the Bill Wilhelm mini-me. Okay. To answer your question, no, I am not unique. I am proud to say that the average tenure with our company, with our associates, is 12 years. And up until a few years ago, that average was pretty close to 18 years. But being a multi-generational company and with the generational movements, like any company, we have seen those that have decided to retire at some point in time. We are smart enough to where we knew that was coming, so we were prepared for that. But you know what I have found, and we do surveys across the board throughout the year with our staff, and the greatest feedback is sponsored around long-term commitment, long-term career, and looking forward to retire from our company. And so I can give you a handful of examples from our executive vice president of operations. He came in about the same time I did, and like me, he's younger than I am. He didn't even have a title. He was an intern back in the day. And today he is a shareholder in the company, but he is also vice president of operations. Our CFO, she came in 34 years ago, and she answered an ad in the paper for a receptionist. She today is a shareholder in our company and our CFO, and I might say probably the most impressive CFO in the industry. She is just over the top from her skill sets. And so many stories like that, Rick, that when I go back and I talk about succession programming, legacy building, that's what it's about. It's about building from within. It's about taking what we have and really, helping them reach levels like no tomorrow. When I came in 30 years ago, Bob Olson asked me 3 questions. And the third question was, what is it you want from my company? And I have no clue why I said this, but I said it. I want your job.
Wow.
And to this day, I'm asking myself, why would I say that 30 years ago?
Right.
But I fell in love with him in the first few minutes towards like, I want to be part of something that's so special from just what little I've heard about it. And so to answer your question, this goes across the board. We build for the future. We grow from within. We're thinking big picture here at R.D. Olson.
Okay, so now let's tell the audience who maybe aren't as familiar with RD Olson. What is it that you do? What markets do you serve? What problems are you solving? And who gets the best value out of working with your company?
Well, that's a great question. For many years, we were focused on hospitality. We are probably considered one of the top 3 builders throughout the country in the hospitality market. About 7 years ago, we were playing in the multi-unit industry a little bit, but I decided that I wanted to diversify the company a little bit more, so we jumped into the market rate multi-unit apartments, student housing, timeshare type product. We expanded that a little bit. And then just before COVID, I made a decision I want to pivot a little bit in the affordable housing industry. And we took that industry by storm. And so today we're focused in the multi-unit, the hospitality. We have other, which is private education, a little bit of retail, which goes way back in the day when I started. We were big in retail. And so, we're kind of working on building the 3-legged stool of different industries. I mentioned earlier that 77% of our work is repeat business. We negotiate about 80% of our work. And so that kind of identifies the type of clientele mix we're looking for. We're looking for the partner, a client, a customer that is a long-term holder. An individual who is looking for a builder who thinks like a builder. I refer to us as a boutique builder. Now, Bob Olson, he has a development company. It's our sister company, but we are separate companies. Bob manages and takes care of the development. I manage and run construction, 2 different entities. But that being said, we build Bob Olson's projects that he develops. And over the course of many, many years of doing that and others, we have really learned how to think like an owner, think like a developer, think like a long-term holder. And so that customer base, which outside of Bob Olson is, 90% of our annual volume, are individuals, groups that want somebody who is going to think like a developer, like a builder, who's going to protect the checkbook, who has the vision to understand a long-term holder's position. I can sit at a mechanical system, and as a long-term holder in servicing the hotels that Mr. Olson owns, I know what works. I know what functions. I know what he has service calls on way too often. And so those kind of experiences are what we bring to the table for our customer base, for our partnership base. And that identifies the type of customers. I tell our BD all the time, BD folks, there are a lot of great opportunities out there, a lot of great prospects. However, there's only a handful that really fit within the RDO niche because we are hands-on. We truly are entrepreneur-based. And that's when I use this phrase, we're a boutique builder. We're kind of a small shop, but we do quite a bit of work. And in a boutique environment, we are very service-oriented. We really, want that experience. And not only of our partner, our customer, but we're thinking about the end user. If I'm building a multi-unit, or if I'm building a hotel, I'm thinking like the renter. I'm thinking like the person who's going to check into the hotel lobby. That's our mindset. Think like they do. What experience do they want to enjoy when they walk in? And so we bring that to the table. And our customers love it because I can walk in and I can save them money, or I can tell them where to spend money that they're going to get their greatest returns from.
That's excellent, and I can hear the passion for the business that comes through in not just what you say, but how you say it, and that is really nice to hear and kind of invigorating, to be honest.
Well,
so you've been in the industry, as we've said, for some time. Let's just leave it at that. How has the construction industry changed from your perspective, Bill, over the long time career that you've had in it?
Well, it definitely has changed. I was raised in the trenches, and so I was blessed to work within the trades, start off with building with my own hands, but I was also blessed to go through multiple different educational experiences. The business today, the way I kind of refer to it as a builder, is we're not really a general contractor. We are a builder. We are people managers. We are managers of time. We are managers of processes. And because this industry has gotten so much tougher, whether it is a budget, schedule, procuring certain products, getting the proper inspections, you have to be an outside the box thinker. You cannot think with inside the box. And that really takes a unique skill set that we focus on here at R.D. Olson through all roles of our company, is helping those individuals think outside the box, think, looking for the solutions. Back in the days when I first came in, problems were simple because solutions were readily available. Something doesn't show up, okay, you find a product, that's available tomorrow. Today, a material product, it's getting better, but a material product has a procurement timeline, or out of the blue, it has a challenge in getting your hands on. You just don't open the phone book and find somebody who has something else to offer. You have to really source it. And so really understanding, managing process, managing people, managing systems, technology. From day one when I walked in, even though 30 years ago technology was in the early stages of really introducing itself into construction at its forefront, we were always pushing to get to the forefront, and we continue to do that because you need to have every option at your possession. Something as simple as technology. Every one of our field folks, superintendents, engineers on site, are highly skilled set. And these are guys that have got hands, they're one of their hands the size of two of my hands, right? And they're working off iPads. They are sketching up submissions. They're sketching up solutions. They're giving recommendations. This is kind of the mindset of where the business is today. It's all about time. And we don't have as much time as we used to. And so, when a developer knocks on our door and says, hey, I only have this kind of money and this is my timeline, you got to be able to think outside the box. That's where the industry's changed. On top of people, if I look internally, Rick, and I mentioned briefly the RDO University, there's a shortage out there for the construction industry. A lot of the craftsmen retired. A lot of those that were in the operations have moved on to other industries during various different cycles of where this business goes. And so today, when I look at our group of people that I am so proud of, we have them from all walks of life. We have people that majored in political poli-sci, that are managers, that are superintendents. We have people that majored in economics. We have people that were healthcare majors and decided at the last moment they wanted something different. We bring them in because if there's something there, if there's the ability to be creative, there's the work ethics, that they're not afraid of a little hard work and a hard challenge, but they want to enjoy the rewards. And what I've also learned, another thing I've learned here most recently, people really enjoy accountability. And I have gotten so much out of our staff by just really pushing more the accountability piece as I challenge our staff across the board at various times.
I guess there's always something new to learn, isn't there, Bill?
Every day. Every day.
So speaking of learning, I'm wondering, is there a foundational idea or a saying or a piece of advice that you had picked up in your career that you could share with my audience?
What I tell my staff all the time, and it kind of goes along this, here's what's interesting, accountability. I tell people all the time, because I've learned, don't be afraid to make a decision. A bad decision is better than no decision. And I learned that early on when I was given the reins to take over as presidency. And I asked Bob Olson, Bob, can you give me an outline of what a president does? And he looked at me and he kind of giggled. He says, yeah, right. He says, I trust you. Trust your gut. Don't be afraid to make the decisions that your gut tells you. And some of those decisions might be the wrong decisions. You'll figure out how to work through that. And so, what I have continued to use and what I continue to preach is, don't be afraid to make the decisions. And what I have found is that by preaching that, it has actually elevated the game of accountability,
Mm-hmm.
because those staff members that say, hey, Bill is really sincere with this. When we make a decision and it's the wrong decision, he's not disappointed. He's not coming down on us. He's taking a step back and saying, let's reflect. What do we learn by it? How do we prevent the company from making that same mistake going forward? And so that really influenced the accountability that I was really pushing on a couple of years ago, which really has helped us on this repeat business. 3 years ago, our repeat business was at about 66, 67%. In 3 years, we have improved that by 10%. And part of that is just due to the accountability, doing what is right, making decisions, and then making corrections as you go forward. It's exciting times, but back to your question, it was, don't be afraid to make a decision.
Yeah,
Because no decisions is better than, a bad decision is better than no decision.
and that's really important as people get elevated in their career, because the quality of their decision making and the impact on the decisions they are making are more far-reaching. And
Yes.
so,
And that's a great point, Rick. I've, as I mentioned, I've got the best executives that are out there, and part of my, the time that I invest is growing them to lead my company, right? To take my role at some point in time, to take other high-level roles. And I'm watching that, and I can see where there's the uncomfortness as far as making some decisions that are hard. And as an executive, as president, as the chief water boy, I refer to myself often as the chief water boy, I'm learning how to be a better sponsor, to where I can sense when an executive might be having that tough time to make that decision. And by being able to sense it, be able to be a little more humble, give them a little bit of support, maybe give them a little bit of guidance. Don't make the decision for them, but try to lead them. Give them some examples of my prior experiences, to where hopefully I can get them to a point where, they make that decision on their own, and that I'm supporting them regardless of the outcome.
yeah, it feels like the further you get away from the day-to-day of the business, the more difficult the decisions become, because the permutations of your decision
Yeah.
and the downstream impact can be. And so
Yeah.
I really love the piece of advice that you shared with our audience today. So thank you.
Uh-huh.
I know that in addition to running the company, you're a part of Habitat for Humanity and Olive Crest here in Orange County. And so I'm just wondering, being a busy executive, one, what does that time away from the office that you're working with those other organizations, how does that kind of pay back into your role as the president of R.D. Olson?
That's a great question. And I'll be quite honest with you. I don't do enough. And I really am working hard to find time to do even more. The community needs the engagement of the local businesses. And yes, R.D. Olson does a lot. We are engaged with Habitat. We do builds throughout the year. We do it for a couple reasons. It's team building, but it's also rewarding. We are very instrumental with Olive Crest. We sponsor Olive Crest probably more than any group that's out there. We do an annual golf outing where all proceeds go to Olive Crest. We do project builds for Olive Crest. We raise multiple different fronts, back to school items, you name it. So we definitely are doing the right things. What I have found, and what I learned a long time ago in my career, because back when I started, we were building all over the country, everywhere but California, the first 10 years when I walked in the door. And I found that to do that successfully, you had to participate with the community. Otherwise, just walking in as a builder, wham, bam, you're out. You were not going to be that successful. You had to give back. You had to create value add. And so our culture is built around creating value add in the communities that we build within. Now, we can't do things in every community, but I have a satellite office up in Northern California, Santa Rosa. We do a lot of community events up there. We sponsor softball teams. We're engaged in their high school. We actually have students that visit our job sites, and we talk about the industry, construction. We talk about engineering, things of that nature. But what I have found is that the give back, the participation really hits home for me personally, to where it drives me to push that much more that we've got to do a better job. I mean, if you think about it, you get home from work, you turn the TV on, if you turn the news on, it could be depressing, right? It could be confusing, and so you look for an outlet. And so, when I look at R.D. Olson, we spend as much time with each other here at R.D. Olson than we do with our families and at home. And so having this opportunity to give back, be a part of something bigger, goes a long way. And so it's not just what does it do for Bill Wilhelm, it does a lot. When I look around to our associates, we put opportunities out there, and the response, the volunteering engagement is by far incredible. We fill up spots within minutes of when we post it. Hey, we're going to do the food bank, or we're going to do a team build, or we're raising back to school backpacks for 50 kids. The response is unbelievable, and so that reaffirms what I learned many years ago, that people want to make a difference. And when you're building in a community, and we're thinking like a builder, we're thinking like an owner, kind of back to my earlier comment, this is just one more piece of what really our culture represents. That, I'm not just, yes, we're in the business to make money. That's what keeps our doors open. But if just making money is what it's all about, it's not what R.D. Olson is after. We are after the long-term play. Bob and I want to see this company hit our 50-year anniversary, hit our 100-year anniversary. And it's going to consist of community partnerships. It's going to consist of long-term repeat customer base. I'm good friends with a number of city managers. I've got one city, La Quinta. We're doing a lot of work out in the desert right now. And I talk to that city manager probably, if not once a week, at least every other week. Just staying connected. What can I do for you? What else is going on in the city? We're very active out there. And so those are the things that, it's not just me that's passionate, but you ask kind of, Bill, are you a monopoly within R.D. Olson? Are there others? You talk to anybody in R.D. Olson who really supports the culture train that we're on. Community engagement is the top of their list.
So let's bring the interview to a close by asking you about the future. What is your vision? You sort of touched on it, but elaborate a little bit more for us, Bill, about what you see as a vision for R.D. Olson.
Well, we will continue to focus on long-term partnerships with our customer base. We will continue to look for those projects that make a difference in our communities. And as I mentioned, I'm building iconic hotels, 5-star resorts, but I'm also building affordable housing. Two different spectrums. But end of the day, it's a building, okay? It thinks like a building. It functions like a building. And so we take each type of product that we build to the next level. And so my focus, the future, is how do we continue that forward? Because as Bill Wilhelm and other key executives hand the baton off, how do you keep that rolling, right? Bob Olson, 45 years in the business, 12 years ago, or whatever it was, he handed me the keys to the car. He said, do what you do best, and you'll make me proud. So future, that's what the future holds for R.D. Olson. We're not going anywhere. We're here to stay. And so we're here to build great products, make a difference in the community, but also build a stable of people that truly do contribute to not only the success of our company, but the success of of the industry, because as a builder, it is important to me that I help improve the perception of what this business is all about, because sometimes it's not all that pretty. It's tough.
So if someone would like to learn more about your firm, RD Olson Construction, maybe connect with you directly, Bill, how do you say they do that?
They can either reach out to me on LinkedIn, or feel free to drop me an email at bwilhelm@rdolson.com. Love to talk to anybody who has creative ideas or just want to talk about the business in general, or just reach out and say hello for an introduction.
Well, I want to thank you for the time you've given us today and the insights that you've provided. I've enjoyed our conversation. Thanks, Bill.
Hey, Rick, thank you very much as well. Appreciate it.
And thank you to the audience. You're a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. Bill's episode now joins our catalog of over 1,500 interviews that we've done over the years with Orange County executives. If you are an Orange County executive or you're a nonprofit leader and you would like to share your story with our audience, then reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. And let me know in a connection request that you have an interest in being a guest on the show, or if we're already connected on LinkedIn, send me a message or an email. And between Haley and myself, our producer Haley and myself, we'll be happy to schedule you and get you on a future episode of our show. And until the next time we all have a chance to be together, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.